joining us live via Zoom from his palatial estates with all the amazing, I want to say, I don't even call them trinkets because you got a whole bunch of stuff going on back there. Derek Holland joining us here on the home of the Rangers, 105 through the Fan. Derek, what's going on?
What's happening, guys?
Not much. I just came back from vacation, so KG's making it some sort of celebration. What's your favorite vacation that you've been on?
Man, I really like going to. I was a kid, but going to Jamaica, that was cool. And as I was older, I'd say Tokyo. Tokyo was a lot of fun.
Ooh.
Actually, you know what? Dubai takes the cake. That was
okay.
Man, that was the party time right there.
Oh, okay. So I imagine that we're not going to do a lot of the stories.
I was about to say, I don't know if we can get into stories from Dubai.
Yeah, that was just me having a very good time.
Okay. I went to Montego Bay, Jamaica a couple of years ago. That was great. So I'm with you on
It was awesome.
The Jamaica.
Is that also stories that need to stay stories?
Of course they are.
Away from the fantastic.
That was my anniversary trip. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I mean, now you'd been spending a little bit of time in Pennsylvania, Derek Holland, recently, and I don't want to like recount everything because obviously, if you're not familiar, Derek Holland has we have the great pleasure of having Derek Holland on the Can't See Masterpiece once a week on Wednesdays. And yesterday you talked a lot about this, but I was very intrigued when you posted on social media that you were going to have Tommy John surgery. So I just kind of wanted to, like, first of all, get what were the emotions of that? What was the feeling of that? Can you just take us through going through that very quickly?
Man, it was so how it all happened. I was warming up in the bullpen, felt great. Everything was good. I go into the game, face the first guy. I'm feeling absolute amazing, just absolute cheddar balls coming out of my hand, feeling good. And then, the second out happens and give up a blue pit. And then I'm facing Starlin Castro. And to me, I just kind of flashed back my own scattering port. He was spin weak. So that's what I was just wanting to attack him with. I went slider first pitch. And I felt something in my elbow right away. It was a weird feeling. No pop, nothing like that. Just, it felt really weird. I guess you could say felt like TV static went through my elbow. Like, that's what it felt like. I waved to the trainer. They didn't see it. And I was like, you know what? Let's go. I'm fine. This is just something just felt weird. Just let's go. So I threw the next pitch. And as soon as I did it, it literally felt like, so it's good because we can see on Zoom, from my elbow down to my hand was out. Like it was attached to the ball, still going. And then from like the elbow up was just pure pain. Like a quick, not quick, but it was it kind of felt like as if I just got stabbed or something. Oof. It was a sharp pain.
Wow. And
then all of a sudden I was like, oh crap, I can't feel my arm. Couldn't pick it up for a second. Just was weird. Still no pop. It's just a terrible feeling. And then I waved to him out there. I waved him with my glove, though. I couldn't pick up my arm. Waved him out. They came out and then started talking. Then, of course, the competitive type of person I am, I was like, no, you know what? Let me just try to throw a pitch. Maybe it's just something good came out of this. And then they were like, no, we're not going to throw. And then as soon as I got back to the dugout, my elbow was like, I know we joked about it with Bassick. He was like, oh, that's not that big. But that part, like by your elbow, if you extend, like you can kind of see on my arm.
Oh, wow.
It's like right here.
Yeah.
This was like, it's swollen now, but it was even bigger. It looked like I had a golf ball just sticking out of my elbow. And that's when I realized, okay, something's not right. And I couldn't bend anymore. Like I can still do it. Like this hurts, but not much.
Kind of like you're flexing.
Going out and extending.
Yeah.
I can't do a full extension. And so had to get the MRI, got the news. I was in like good spirits before. That's what sucked the most is I was like telling my buddy who was staying, like we were basically living together up there. I was like, hey man, I don't think I'm going to have Tommy John. There's no way. And then all of a sudden the doc calls as we're driving back. And I was like, he's like, well, it's actually the worst. You tore your UCL and your flexor tendon. And then I obviously I wouldn't have done it, but man, I really wanted to just drive off the road right there. Because it just took the air out of everything. But yeah, went back to my agent's house and that was it.
Now, I mean, obviously, I didn't ask you to recount that story, so you had to relive pain, and I apologize if you had to do that.
No.
The timing of it was kind of wild, incredible, and like obviously not a positive way, because very soon thereafter we find out that Jacob deGrom is going on the IL because he is in need of Tommy John surgery in order to, repair his UCL. So like, for one, from a professional pitcher's perspective, like, are we seeing the end of peak Jacob deGrom? Because like that is the question I imagine is on a lot of Rangers fans' minds, because the Rangers just paid a whole bunch of money for this guy to be a foundational piece for the next certain amount of time, and not just to be a dude on the roster, but to be your ace. And now he has to deal with Tommy John surgery.
Yeah, first of all, it's a big blow. I respect deGrom a lot. Love the guy. He's a super nice dude, and it does suck that it happens. That happened to him. Obviously, he wanted to come here too with a fresh start, fresh everything. Like, I get it. He had the injuries in the past. He was here to change that. He was trying everything he could. These are things we can't control.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I tell people, only control the things you can control. This, unfortunately, is not it. And going forward, though, after having 2 Tommy Johns, it is going to be very tough to be that guy again. That's the big thing for him is just trying to be that guy. But also, are you still going to have that same velocity? Are you still going to have those same things? And if you do, I'm wondering if, and I talked with Bassick about this from KMC, is do what Verlander does. Verlander comes into a game and he'll be throwing 90 to 93. And then, hey, all right, we got bases loaded. It's go time. And don't throw a pitch under 97. Now, I get it. People are going to be like, well, you're still putting a lot of stress on that by doing it. Well, it's more controlled because he's not throwing as hard earlier in the game, saving the bullets and saving maybe that ligament. It also could be something with his mechanics too, that this is twice now you've had Tommy John. We might need to dive into our mechanics a little bit more and see what we're doing that could be causing a lot of stress on that elbow or the shoulder or wherever else his injuries are. So it is wild, but I will say I really did love the picture though of people saying that me and deGrom were going to be like Forrest Gump and Lieutenant Dan.
The rehab buddies just handling business, getting back on the field. Derek Holland joining us here on the Get Right with Reggie KG here on 105 through the Fan. And I think that's the part that I think some people forget is that this is not just the first time that deGrom's dealing. This is the second time that he's going to be attempting to come back from Tommy John surgery. As a teammate of his, if you were in that locker room, if you're in that clubhouse, how do you continue to not only keep him encouraged, but obviously for the rest of this team, they're in the midst of what is starting to look like of a special season for this team. How do they continue to move forward, knowing that a lot of the reason why some of these guys are here is because Jacob deGrom was going to be the centerpiece of what this team is going to be looking like in the future?
Well, 2 things. One, people know if I was a teammate there that played with me and everything, they know exactly how I would carry myself. I would be very supportive of these guys. I would make sure to, if I was the healthy guy and going to see deGrom, I don't want him to feel like he's an outcast, not a part of this team or anything like that. I want him to feel this is still your team. You're still as much a part of this as anybody else. On top of that, too, if, being a veteran guy, too, that's maybe not the pitcher, I'm going to go up to him and make sure that he realizes what he means to this team. And then as himself, be there for those guys, too. You are going to get treated as if you're a ghost. I've been there before. I know what it's like when you're hurt. Nobody wants to see you, talk to you, whatever. You're kind of in the way. Well, you can always make the adjustment to that. Don't let it be that way. Be noticed when you're there, but be noticed for the right things. Be there to support your guys, push them, motivate them, because just like you, they have the same goal. We're all trying to get that World Series. I hope they can do it. The way that they are playing right now, this team is lights out. They've picked up as soon as deGrom went out, they kept going. They were like, hey, they didn't, obviously nobody knew how serious this was, but they literally had that attitude of, hey, it's okay, you're gone. We're going to pick up for you. So when you do come back, it's already there. We're already doing great things. And they have. You look at Dane Dunning, who stepped up big time for these guys. All these young guys getting their opportunities up there, doing an outstanding job. Leody Tavares, unbelievable right now. I mean, it's what we're seeing is incredible. This whole team is basically all-stars. You could send almost everybody up there to Seattle.
Now, okay. So I'm going to be the person to bring in the negativity. Thanks, Derek.
I love it. Let's do it. Somebody has to do it.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. But this is the thing, is like this Rangers team was playing in a place where we hold it down until deGrom gets back, and now it becomes a go without. And I don't know how you feel about this, but it feels like regression is going to happen with this team. My question to you is, if you also agree with me that regression will happen at some point, what is a reasonable expectation of this team without Jacob deGrom on the horizon? Even if some things slow down a little bit, what's a reasonable expectation for this team? Because they're still on an incredible pace at this point.
I still got them winning probably, I would say, between 88 to 94 games. But I do want to say, yes, they will go through a tough break. The question is when. And on top of that is when they do it, you want it to be more, as I would kind of say, getting towards the end of the season so that when they do turn it around, now we're getting hot heading into the playoffs. I know people hate saying this, so you talking about being negative. Look at what the Cardinals did when they came and played us in the World Series. Look at what the Giants did. Both those teams were red hot, got the wild card spot, and won the World Series. So let them continue to keep winning the way that they are. Keep doing what they're doing. At some point, yes, they are going to get cold. It happens. But the thing is, too, let's put it this way, too. You haven't seen the pitchers clicking, the offense clicking, and the defense clicking all at the same time. When you see that, now you know they're really flowing. And on top of that, too, once it does get cold, they're going to quickly get out of that cold streak. Bochy's not going to let that stick around. So no panic. I know I saw somebody on Twitter talking about they were upset that we wasted one of John Gray's starts last night.
Yeah.
No, we didn't. You got to give credit to the other team too. It was a 1-0 game.
Yeah.
Get out of here with that garbage. Like, you didn't waste anything. That was a great job. I will give credit to Evan Grant for responding to this the correct way. Bullpen got time off. Garcia got an extra day to help out and give him some rest. Those are things that you need to see because it's a long season for those guys. I want a healthy guy at the end of the season rather than a guy that is worn out by then.
Derek Holland joining us here on the Get Right with Reggie KG here on 105 through the Fan. Last one for me. There's been so many things that have gone well for this team. When you look at Marcus Semien, obviously Josh Young, AL Rookie of the Year candidate, Corey Seager and what he's been doing this year. For you, what's been, if you had to pin it down to one thing, what's been the one thing for you that has gotten you so excited about this ball club based on what they've done to start off this season?
Well, I'm going to be biased because I love pitching.
Mm-hmm.
The starting rotation has been outstanding, but I want to give a lot of credit to Jonah Heim is one, Mike Maddox another one, and then also obviously Bochy keeping the clubhouse right. But I think one guy that really stands out for bouncing back too is he was kind of left out on the burner, and then we got to bring him back now is Adolis Garcia. That guy has been absolutely getting after it, and you'd love to see that. I think Simeon's clubhouse leadership has kind of been noticed more now. You're seeing a lot of the guys, even the young guys, looking very comfortable out there, and that's what we need most is those guys being able to be comfortable. So I can't specifically say one thing besides obviously I want to pick pitching, but I think the way that this clubhouse is turned around, the leadership from the front office, wanting to win now, making the moves, also with the coaching staff that you got in there, they're making things happen. There is no games being played. This is it. We're not here to wait for certain things. We tested out a few things, and now we're good to go. You got Will Smith doing a good job closing for us. I know the bullpen's been kind of the question mark, but they're turning it around. Everything is starting to come up into the right way.
Dutch, before we let you go, and I'm not afraid to tell you that this is really the one reason I wanted to have you on more than anything. It's just to talk about pitching right now in the majors and like kind of the mechanics of it, because you alluded to it when it comes to Jacob deGrom, velo monster, right? And we're seeing a lot of guys who are becoming more and more velo monsters. And of course, we can't like narrow it down to the velocity and the power with which he was throwing being the culprit for this injury. But I do wonder, do we need to see pitchers kind of put a governor on, that fastball in the way that you're talking about with Verlander? Like guys just, because I mean, at some point you're limiting the value that you have in being able to throw fast, but sometimes you're also protecting the investment of the player and being able to be more sustainable.
Yeah, I just think with the pitching side of it, when it comes to mechanics, that's the one thing that I'm curious about too, is each guy is different. So it's hard to sit here and put a pinpoint thing on, like for instance, deGrom throwing so hard. I hate saying this, but I feel like the guys with the high velocity in the hundreds, they they tend to not last that long. And I hate that because deGrom is by far the best pitcher in the game to watch when he is healthy. When he's on and everything, it's ridiculous. So I'm curious, like looking at like with Verlander, who is a guy that could run it up to the hundreds, how does he control it? And he does do it by slowing things down with his velocity, throwing slower earlier in the game, throwing harder late in the game. So I don't know. And also what sucks is injuries are up this year. There's a lot of, I actually don't have the numbers, but I'd love to look this up. How many Tommy Johns are this year? Because I know Dr. Meister personally, and that's who's going to be working on me. I know he's done a lot of Tommy John surgeries this year so far. So that's the scary thing too, is what's going on with pitching to cause so many injuries. And it usually is happening to a lot of the guys that are throwing with the higher velocity. So I don't know. It's very interesting to see.
Well, Derek, we appreciate your time this evening. This was absolutely terrific. We wish the best to you.
Yeah, it's like I don't think the circumstances are terrific, though.
Yeah.
We're sorry to hear about the UCL tear.
Yeah, and obviously
it's okay. Hey, you know what? I know we can't really say it, but God has a plan, man, and I'm here to just follow it.
Yeah,
and this is part of it.
Well, we know that you're going to attack rehab with everything that you got, and we look forward to seeing you on your journey. And obviously, every single Wednesday here on 105.3 The Fan with the KMC Masterpiece, man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, guys.